Hello, dear community, and very welcome to our FinTech-Talk live. We are in Bratislava, in the Hub, one of the really exciting innovation ecosystems in the Central and Eastern Europe. And we are at the winner's ceremony of Elevator Lab Challenge from Tatra banka, one of the subsidiaries, one of the group banks of Raiffeisen Bank International. And we have two winners with us of this challenge. On the one hand, Milos, the local hero, the most innovative startup, Behavera. Hi, Milos, welcome. And we have Ivan, the group potential, most scalable business model that will go to the group-wide challenge, Ivan from Family Finances. Ivan, very welcome. And obviously, we have the group head and project lead, program lead, Max Schausberger. Hello, Max. Welcome to our live stream.
Hi, dear.
And we have your local, so to say, partner, head of R&D of Tatra banka, Michal Satur. Hello, Michal.
Hello.
We'll be now talking about you guys, about your products, but obviously also about the fintech ecosystem in Bratislava, but beyond as well in the CE. And let's start with the startups. Obviously, we're excited to find out about your projects, your products. Why did you apply? Maybe we can start with you, Ivan. Why and what do you do?
So we at Family Finances create design-driven mobile banking solutions with a special focus on younger customers, and we truly believe in kind of bank-backed accelerators, but because you can get closer to banks, shorter time frame, etc. And that's, I would say, is becoming really a best practice, like applying as a great channel to actually work together with banks, kind of like hackathons on the other side, but I would say accelerators are definitely best practices.
Your product, what do you exactly do and what do you want to implement and execute with RBI?
So we actually have easy to integrate box solutions that are all modularly built. For example, allowance management tool, chat-based payment tool for parents and children, also micro investments tool for millennials, several box solutions built. And we also have an end-to-end service, so in case the bank has really specific requirements, we can also create anything, I would say, in-house in terms of youth banking and also design-driven banking, from UX research through UX UI design to implementation, kind of covering the whole product development lifecycle.
You see yourself, because this is always an interesting topic for us, do you see yourself as a disruptor of banks, or do you see yourself as a service provider and partner of banks?
Service provider, definitely. So we kind of have banks speak the same language younger generations do, and also compete with fintech challengers and also, I would say, big tech companies as well. And yeah, we kind of have them really become Gen Z and also millennial compliant as well.
Max and Michal, you were both part of the jury that selected those startups. Maybe a short comment, what convinced you with Ivan? Why did you choose this startup?
Maybe for the group-wide potential, I take the question. Family Finance had a very good presentation, first of all. Congrats to that. And secondly, they showed up a broad range of potential use cases that we could do with their platform. Here, they will be now, they have the wild card now into the group-wide semifinals. To come even to the finals, we will now have to define a little more which of those use cases are the best ones to pilot with us. You know, in the group-wide Elevator Lab, we are running these 4-month pilot projects with the fintechs, very intense, always testing with our technological background, with our regulatory background, also with some customers, and this needs to be defined very closely before we start. And if we can have a convincing use case with Family Finance and define a convincing use case for them, I'm sure they will also go to the finals and maybe even then into the program.
Have a good situation for that, because the winner of the last year from Slovakia is still working with the RBI. Maybe can you update us on this question, Michal?
Actually, we as a Tatra banka, we are working with both of the winners from the last year, and we are also working with one of the winners from the years before. So our acceleration program is not only about scouting the ideas, but also about implementation and further cooperation with the startups and fintechs.
Before we move to Milos, Max, one more question. Do you see this trend of startups trying to position themselves as software providers, as technology providers for banks, or do you see in the application in the other countries more of them that want to disrupt you?
So, of course, there is a general trend from these we eat the banks style of fintechs to we want to cooperate. Maybe this has reasons that the first trials of eating banks were not that successful. Maybe some of them realized that entering new markets is not that easy, meeting all the regulatory standards.
Building up the customer base.
Building up the customer base is not as easy as they had envisioned. And on the other hand, we want to benefit from new technologies, from also most of the time they are closer to the customer needs, meeting them in new ways, in new UX, UI, new technology, and this is what we want to be close at and where we want to develop things together.
And what I find very interesting, and this will be the bridge to Milos, is that you really, so to say, open up to many solutions that could, so to say, enrich your customer journey. Your startup is not the classical fintech. You're coming from HR background, but you won the Most Innovative Local Hero Award. How come, what do you do, and how can you help banks improve their customer experience?
So anytime I talk to anyone from any big company, they always tell me that their biggest asset comes to the building at 9 a.m. and leaves at 4 p.m. So actually we can talk about fintech, we can talk about apps, but the biggest asset of each bank are their employees. Yeah, so I hoped that even though this is a fintech startup competition, managers at banks can actually find value and can think of a new way of dealing with their hiring process, and basically that gave us a chance, and that's why I applied. Yeah.
What exactly is your solution? What do you do?
So our solution is we develop online simulation games. It's a simulation game that you can play in your browser on your computer. When you start a game, you are put into a virtual work environment. You work with your computer. You use various tools. You talk to your colleagues. You talk to your bosses. You solve various situations. And you play it for, let's say, 45 minutes, 1 hour. And after that, we can assess you on so-called soft skills, but namely behavioral competencies. So we can tell about you how well can you deal with unknown situation, how well can you process data, how good is your integrity, for example. So things that are becoming much more important in nowadays jobs than so-called hard skills. You know.
Michal, you're the local hero for this local hero, so to say, and local partner. What was the reason for choosing them to win this competition?
Actually, I think that the both of the winners make a good mix of the solutions. Because on one hand, we need to focus on a good digital solution for the current generation, for the upcoming generation of the users. But also, we as a traditional bank, with the very strong and good digital solutions, we will be having the branches. There will be people in the branches, and we need to have the best people in the branches. So I think that the combination of this solution makes absolutely sense, also on a local perspective. And yes, people are the biggest asset, and we know that we need to invest not only in the technology, not only in security, and not only in the backends, not only in all the buzzwords which we are hearing all the time, but also to select and have the best people which are assisting our customers every single day.
I think I saw one solution dealing with the topic of robo-advisors as well, being presented, at least one part of it. How far is this technology and how relevant is it for banks nowadays? Is it still a future topic? And because you mentioned that we need the best people to advise the customers, how do you see this relationship between human interaction and robo-advisors?
There is a big differences in the clients of the banks. Some of the clients really like to go to the branch, talk to the people, ask, what do you think is best for me? And in that case, we need to provide them service. We need to advise them what fits their financial needs. But some of the customers rather prefer not to go to the branch, prefer digital solutions, or rather prefer, for example, in this case, it was about invest by themselves. They will choose the assets to invest to, and basically they don't need any kind of the human interaction. We see as a banking as basically also fight for the long tail, because now we have, for example, our internet banking is 21 years old. Our mobile application is more than 10 years old. We are also having a lot of other channels which are quite strong, but we need also focus on another channels, and robo-advisory is one of them.
Max, you mentioned RBI wants to be the most attractive bank for fintechs in Central Eastern Europe. Now you have HR startups that are entering the program. Do you have to redefine the purpose of the program, so to say?
I always say that the term fintech we define very broadly. So everything where we can benefit from each other, for me, is a fintech. Yeah, where of course our main expertise and our main focus is always the finance area. But as I said, these topics of employees is important for every organization, especially for banks at the moment, having the best people in the branches, but also in the back offices. And here I hope we can always also show with these guys that we can be the strongest employers for the new generation. In general, in CEE, I think with Elevator Lab and this group-wide program, we want as RBI Group to leverage the strength of the group. With 13 banks in Central and Eastern Europe, we have a very strong network, and we see this evolving startup ecosystems in really every country of ours where we are active. And I'm especially happy that today here in Bratislava we didn't only see Slovakian startups, but also had Polish, Czech and Hungarian startups that applied, that find it interesting to get in contact with RBI and to see this perspective of testing in one country, proving what you can do, and then actually rolling out through potentially a group that serves over 16 million customers.
This is an interesting point, Michal. Can you give us maybe some insights on the ecosystem in Bratislava, in Slovakia? Why do you seem to be a magnet also for neighboring countries like Czech or Hungary for startups to apply for your challenge?
I think that the biggest reason why we are attractive for the startups, not only in this region, but for example, one of the winners from the last year was from Israel, is basically that innovation is part of our DNA. And this is not a marketing claim, this is actually the story of our bank, like in every meeting. So we are focusing on innovation, we have very good track record of the solutions. We have also some of the solutions which failed, but it's good to fail sometimes, because at least you try. And all the time we say that you need to throw at least 100 balls to catch 10, because otherwise you get lost. So Bratislava is not in particular focusing on the fintechs. There are some solutions, but since Bratislava is very close to the other big cities and other countries, it's much easier for us to reach also the ideas from the region. And we as a Tatra banka, we are doing extra mile all the time regarding the innovations. So I think that we, compared to another bank from the Slovakia or from the adjacent markets, the fintechs trust us more, that we want to do something that is not just some PR stuff, but it's about the real solutions.
Is that the case? Let's double check that.
Yeah, it is definitely. So of course you have to kind of make sure that it's not something that has a certain zoo effect, or that the corporate guys are, I don't know, watching startups in hoodies, guys with, I don't know, mustache and smelling a bit. So it's not the case. So definitely it's of course a certain validation that you as a startup can and should actually do the effort and apply for these programs. And of course that's of course easy, because there are several of these accelerators flooding also in Central Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and you definitely have to make sure to apply for the right ones.
Was that the right one for you?
Definitely, we saw Tatra banka as a key customer of ours down the line when we started, because as was said, that's actually the case. Tatra banka was miles ahead of any other banks around in the region. Also, I would say in the Europe, considering solutions and tools for their customers. Also, interbanking in the interbanking ecosystem. So definitely.
Max, is that the reason why the Raiffeisen Bank International Group decided to put the so-called artificial intelligence lab in Bratislava, to place it here?
Yes, indeed. We decided to have parts of the artificial intelligence group here, actually really here where we are standing in this hub. Of course, the closeness to the ecosystem of these innovative companies here around us, the open-mindedness here, the fast testing opportunities, testing with customers, everything that we experienced in the last year's Elevator Lab, testing solutions in a very short time with a lot of people here. really sitting here and having lunch, for example. Of course, Bratislava is also a hub for talent. So one argument for that location was probably also the talent question. Yeah.
Are you guys both from Slovakia, from Bratislava? No?
Yes, I'm from Slovakia, but I'm from Bratislava. I'm from Trenčín.
And yourself?
I'm from Hungary, Budapest.
Hungary, Budapest. How are your ecosystems? How is it to be entrepreneur in Hungary? How is it to be in Slovakia? Do you have enough support? Do you have enough infrastructure? Just to learn a little bit about your ecosystems.
I would say a big yes right now. Also from financing point of view, also there are lots of bank-backed accelerators and also bank-backed hackathons. So actually it's right now a great thing to actually be a fintech startup, also a B2B fintech startup in Hungary. So it's I would say a kind of momentum for the Hungarian market as well.
So we have to visit in Budapest as well.
Definitely, I would be happy to show you around.
Perfect. And how is it to be entrepreneur, to grow your startup in Slovakia?
Actually, we are based in Prague. That's actually a common theme to basically, yeah, we split the countries, Czech and Slovakia, but we're still one country in reality. So the ecosystems are quite different. In Prague, the ecosystem is much larger than in Slovakia, but it's also, I would say, not that rapidly changing and not that eager to find the best solution than the Slovakia. In Slovakia, if you don't have really good solution, you have no chance. You will just go bankrupt immediately. In Czech Republic, you can stay in the business for longer, try to position your business a bit better, you know. So that's the main difference, I would say. In Slovakia, you have to be really fast, really good, because you are given less chances than in the Czech Republic. But both countries, I think, are very, very good for startups. Very
interesting. Max, Michal, maybe final question. What's next? These are the challenges of your networking banks. Many more are coming, but you also have, and you're also scouting on the group level. So what happens with both startups and what happens with the overall program?
So, as you know, we are looking for partners here. We want to test these solutions as tough as possible, but also as in real life as possible. So this is going to happen over the next few months. And for the group-wide Elevator Lab, we will meet in March 2020 then, after all the pilot projects have been successful, hopefully, and presented to you at our demo day of Elevator Lab.
In the meantime, we'll still visit your challenge in Belgrade on the 3rd of September. Looking forward to learning more about former Yugoslavian startup ecosystems. You have many countries which will be gathered together. Michal, how is the challenge? What's the next step for the local challenge here in Bratislava?
Well, basically, we want to have a proof of concept with the Behavera, with the winners of the local hero category, but we are also looking forward to maybe cooperate with the family finance, because once they will get into the final of the group wide, there will be also a place for the space for the cooperation and maybe for the proof of concept. But we have only winners here. We have also 4 other finalists which didn't make it as the winners, and once we as a jury and also the rest of the jury members. By the way, it was 13 jury members, so it was quite a big crowd. We are discussing a lot, like okay, these are the good fit, but the rest of them are also having the nice solutions. So we are also considering like cooperating with another finalist in the soon future.
Perfect. We'll keep you posted about the process. Thank you very much, guys, and all the best, so to say, and congratulations for your winning. Thanks for having us, and we see you latest in Belgrade on the 3rd of September. Thank you for being with us, and see you later.